Hello, family. I'm Janaya Future Khan, and this is Dark Woke. Just before we hit it, I want to say thank you to all of the listeners out there, and a special shout out to the supporters who make this show possible. It truly means the world to me. If you'd like to become a member, our Patreon will be linked in the episode right up below. These bitch-ass Dems. These bitch-ass Dems. I spent all of last week saying we need to have a comprehensive theory of change, right? We need a comprehensive theory of change, one that is built on creating power. And then these serpents with their Judas deal, right? Okay. If you don't know what I am talking about, let me break it down. The government shutdown is over. The government shutdown is over. Now, I would love to say that after 30 some odd days, right, of some scariness and some belt tightening, after 30 some odd days, that we walk away with something. I would love to say that, right? I would love to tell you, right, that even though the Republican Party has a full sweep, right, the House, the Senate, that's Congress, right, the Supreme Court, the administration, this president, right, that the Democrats did their due diligence in exercising some of the power that they have. We know exactly, we understand exactly what this party needed to do and why, right? This is something that isn't just what I believe and what you believe. This is something that even Ezra Klein believed, that the sort of establishment, an argument that I made last week, right? It's about understanding a theory of power, but it wasn't like, hey, we all need to become Democrats now. But we do need to be able to articulate and fold in to our arguments and our theories of power what it means to not just critique it, but to build it. And then here come these Judases. So let me break it down, okay? Government shutdown happens. Government shutdown happens because the GOP, right? The GOP, I don't like just the goop, the useless, the rot, right? The lies. They have been stripping all public goods down to nothing. They have fired federal workers across the board, any kind of public good, from SNAP benefits, right, to even just slicing up healthcare for people. They have done it all. This was a moment where the Democrats, right, were they just wrecked it for the GOP. They needed to pass certain bills in order for this government to function, and required Democratic participation in order to do so. This is one of the few times where Democrats, led by the establishment Dems, and as you know, those are the folks I don't like, where the Democrats had leverage. This was one of those moments where the Democrats have leverage because the right absolutely needed their participation. And despite the right's attempts to demonize Democrats in office, right, and saying this is their fault, knowing what we know, right, including the Trump administration, they're the people who voted for them. It wasn't working. They tried to blame it on the Dems, but you can't blame it on the Dems when you have all the cards in your hand, right? And it's visible for the entire world to see, right? And I want to be clear about something, okay? What's the deal? What was it? Why were the Democrats against it in the first place, right? Now, ostensibly, the Democrats said, we do not support this bill because the Trump administration refused to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, right? They wanted to extend it over. That ostensibly, that's what the shutdown was for, right? But that's not really what it was about. That was the cherry. That was the icing on the cake, right? For most of the House and Senate Democrats, it had more to do with fighting back against Trump's authoritarianism and his authoritarian government. It was more than symbolic. And for a slice of time, everything was looking like it was moving in the right direction. I want to be really fucking clear about something. This was hard when you have to make decisions where you know that some people are going to have to suffer and some people have belt tightening. That's a hard thing to decide, right? But it's for the greater good. You would walk away with more for it, and people actually, even some of the most pro-Trump people actually understood that this was for them, right? And even if they didn't, they knew that the shutdown had more to do with the Republican Party's failure to lead because they don't have interest in governing, right? So for the Democrats, the shutdown wasn't simply about the subsidies, right? And for the majority of it wasn't. It was about taking that stance, right? It was about showing their base. That's us, by the way, right? We're the base. They forget, the establishment Dems absolutely fucking forget that, but the reps they tend to know, right? This was a way to show us that you could fight back, right? It was about treating this fucked up time that we're in and this theocratic fascist government that is trying to erode and destroy whatever bastions of democracy America has claimed. And you know what? I don't actually even want to do that. I'm not gonna sit here and it was not the democracy that is ideal or even fully encapsulating, right? But I think we understand now that it is a kind of democracy. It had too many gaps, too few protections, right? No, not enough checks and balances, but it was a democracy. And if you've not lived in one, right, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are like me, who has been more privileged, where I've lived in democracies, it's just that I happen to read a lot and have been in places where it did not exist, like in Palestine. We know otherwise, right? We know otherwise. So the question is, why did the shutdown end? Right? 7 Democrats, 7 or 8, and 1 independent, I'm about to name them, fucking folded. Those mark ass bitches. I want to be really, really clear about something. Really, really clear about something, okay? 7 Democrats and 1 independent voted on Sunday to support the Republican deal. This is not about reopening the fucking government, right? I want to be clear about something, right? This has nothing to do with easing the lives of Americans. That's the excuse that they're all using. That in ending the shutdown, we're easing the lives of everyday Americans, right? Here's what's really disgusting. Not one of the Democrats that fucked us over by voting for this shit bill, right? Not a single one faces re-election in 2026. Okay. Here are the ones responsible. Tim Kaine, right? Virginia senator. This fucking Tim Kaine. You bitch. Tim Kaine, you fucking bitch. Your integrity is thinner than your hairline. Who else? We got Jean Shaheen, right? With her fuck ass Bob from New Hampshire. Listen, this giraffe testicle of a human being was one of the key architects of our betrayal, right? Jean Shaheen, Maggie Hassan. I don't even care about her, right? Another fuck ass Bob. Dick Durbin, that dehydrated foreskin, right? Actually, you know what? Maggie didn't have the fuck ass Bob. That was Catherine Cortez Mastro. Oh, yes. There were so many. Then you got Angus King, right? You got Jackie Rosen. And my personal favorite, right? Newly independent, John Fetterman, right? That giant bald bitch, right? Not only does John Fetterman likely have CTE, he looks like the fucking mascot for it, right? Just like take a beat and visualize it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It looks like somebody took the grumpiest Muppet and plastered that too small face on that gigantic body, right? And think about how the poster child or the mascot for CTE might dress. Maybe like that, right? Sweats and shorts, but not cool, not swaggy. I don't think he knows what clothes are, right? This guy. Straight up, fuck these people. Honest to God, like, fuck them. They're not facing any kind of pressure right now because for them, the only thing that matters is whether or not they need to be reelected, and they don't. But as much as I will not forget the names of these shitheels. The fault of this is Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer needs to resign right now. This is his fucking fault. This is on his watch. I don't care if he voted no. He is the leader of the fucking party. So either one of two things is true, and both of them are damning, right? Either you have no control of your team, they don't fucking respect you, they're going to do whatever they want, or you allowed it to happen and voted no anyway, right? And either way, you're a little bitch. You are a bitch. Fuck the establishment Dems. I'm so angry because here's the thing that pisses me off. And, I'm going to make the case. I always make the case. I always give us the details that we absolutely need. But first, I think it's so important to know that you don't even need to know the details to know this is fucked up. Trump was getting blasted in the polls. He got booed at an NFL game. This was happening. This should have been allowed to run and through Thanksgiving, through the holidays, right? Do you know how pissed off Americans would be if they can't get home for the holidays? We already know we got fucking engines falling out of planes in the skies. The FAA has been run down into nothing. People are working without getting paid. The tension that would have happened, the outrage, the anger, the disgust, it all would have been directed to Trump and this administration. And these people robbed us of that. They fucking robbed us of that. You know what they did? They made people suffer for nothing. We got nothing out of this. Whatever small semblance of respect that the Democrats could have gotten from seeing this through is fucking gone because Chuck Schumer doesn't have control of his goddamn party. He needs to resign now and immediately. And if you want to know something that would combine all the things, and I don't see it happening anytime soon, but that's okay. We got time, and, I'll throw my head in the ring when the time is right. And it's coming. You already know I'd be working on things in secret. But this is something that is actionable. It's something that we could do. If we wanted to, if we took some sense of responsibility over it, not necessarily because it's going to radically transform the Democratic Party, but why not try an exercise of power? Because ultimately this guy sucks anyway. He's lost Pelosi, right? And he's got fucking Hakeem. Who cares about Hakeem? Hakeem Jeffries? That Hakeem? That's not a problem. Hakeem Jeffries not a problem. But you know what? Before I shore up these arguments, because I think it's important for us to know the arguments for and against, not because we're going to end up with a different conclusion, but because it's important to model what we know to be true. Why don't I put up this, what is it, Corey? Oh, Chuck's, his response to this. And again, right, this happens on his watch. Democracy is at stake, right? You don't have control of your fucking team. No, he rubber stamped this. There's no doubt about it. He rubber stamped this. Right? You allowed it to fold, and you thought you could save face and hide behind your no vote. The difference is you're the leader of the fucking party, guy. You need to go on out to pasture, just like Pelosi did, and get the fuck out of the way. I think it's going to happen anyway, but my point is not fast enough. Do you remember how Biden was forced to resign? It came out, it was, first we were all whispering about it. We were talking about it. We talked about it so much that the establishment, the professional class, they started talking about it too. Then Ezra Klein puts out a piece, and suddenly it happens. And then before you know it, we get a different person running for office. I don't care whether we liked Kamala or not. That's not the point. The point is that actually happened because we did something about it. And we worked together to do it. I'm going to tell you something. Even Ezra is confused by this. Even Ezra. Mr. Ezra Klein, the guy who's like a thorn in my ass half the time, right? And half the time it's like, well, now, no, not he's a thorn in my ass all the time, but now I at least fully, absolutely comprehend, right, up and down, why he says what he says, right? why he's obsessed with reaching across the aisle. It's less to do with reaching across the aisle and more to do with covering our 3 to 4 point deficit. Knowing that, and this is what I mean when I say there's the lie and then there's two truths, conservatism, all that GOP bullshit, that's a lie. And there's not a singular truth here. Our belief system is the one that I want ultimately to win. But we are not even there, right? We're not even there. And honestly, I'm pissed off. I want to fucking hit somebody. Right? I don't know. What do I got to do to get in a ring with Chuck Schumer? I probably got to lower my testosterone dose. I feel like we're around the same size. He's old. I don't know. We'll tie one arm behind my back. What do we got to do? My point is, if we wanted Chuck Schumer gone, we actually have the range to do that. And there's not a better time than this moment. I don't know if it's our time to fire yet, but it's not a better time. But you know what? Why don't I let him sell the story for you? Corey, why don't we hit up that Chuck Schumer quote?
But let me be clear. However this vote turns out, this fight will and must continue. Democrats must fight because of millions of families will lose health care coverage. We must fight because children who are dying of cancer will not get health care coverage. We must fight because a senior citizen cannot afford to pay $25,000 a year just for health insurance. We must fight to keep millions from financial ruin. And make no mistake about it, the American people know who is inflicting this health care trauma on them: Donald Trump and the Republicans.
That fuck up. So I'm trying to do this thing where I'm not swearing as much. And I got to tell you, it's boring. I'm over it. Fuck him. Like, do you know what this made me feel like? I felt like I've never wanted to just get on a fucking mic and play hit him up and rap that shit to Chuck Schumer. You bitch ass nigga. Like, this, like, do you understand that you went out on a fucking whimper? You went out on a whimper for the first time. For the first time, it felt like maybe, right? Maybe. There was enough in this party, enough people in this party where it was understood. And I want to be clear, the vast majority of people were against this. There's 7 people, 7 Democrats, and 1 fucking independent bitch, right? But this is embarrassing. There's the lack of loyalty, the lack of diligence. Right now, I want to be clear. The guts of the deal are this, right? This is their justification is always for the people in their state. I want to know what you got out of this. Somebody gifted you. You were offered something. What the fuck were you offered? Right? If this had run through in the holidays, the outrage and ire and frustration and disgust that would have been directed at Donald Trump, you could have ended it right after that. You could have ended it right after that. That would have been the perfect time. That still would have been a win. This is just the beginning of people getting angry. So I want to be clear, though. It's always important to demonstrate all the shit, right? So the guts of the deal that they sign up because they broke rank. They broke rank. I'm telling you, hoes ain't loyal, right? I want to be clear as I'm reading this, right? They ended the deal. They ended the shutdown and made a deal. What they got out of it is fucking weak. It's nothing. It's fucking nothing. It is so little compared to what could have happened if we had allowed this to play out a little longer. But these fucking 7 fucking Democrats and bitch ass bald bitch fucking John Fetterman fucked us over for no goddamn reason. The guts of the deal goes as follows. You got food assistance, right? Both SNAP or the WIC, right? They're going to get a little bit more funding. A little bit more across different levels of government. Very in the weeds, right? Laid off federal workers are going to get rehired. Furloughed federal workers will be given back pay. Most of the government is funded only until the end of January. So we could be doing this again in a couple of months, right? Here's the fucking rub. Now remember that the majority of the fucking Democrats understood that the subsidies was the justification for it, but it was really about demonstrating power, right, in the face of authoritarianism. That's what it was. It was like, we're going to show the American people that we're the party that can fight against fascism. It turns out you're actually fucking not. Under Chuck Schumer, right? But you think, okay, if these fucking lawn chairs folded, right, then they must have gotten, right? Why would these 7 Democrats, they must have gotten the Affordable Care Act tax, right? Credits. Those credits must have crossed over. Nope. Nope. The deal does nothing to extend those tax credits in the future. From what I understand, this was like a weird fucking plot. Because now, look, if I'm saying this, we know I'm not up on the hill like that. This is coming from Ezra. Ezra loves to yap about the people that he's talked to, right? But he said, of the dozen or so House and Senate Democrats that he spoke to over the past 24 hours, everyone expected that vote to fail. So many were blindsided. That is, again, another sign of awful leadership. Awful leadership. I'm just so angry. To make people suffer for nothing. That's the thing I can't get over. All right. So there was an argument. This guy named Andrew. I don't care what his last name is. Andrew something. Prokop. Okay. But no, it's with a K. Anyway. So he has this article in Vox, and it says Democrats were never going to win the shutdown fight, but that's because he thinks that the fight had more to do with the subsidies. It was never about the subsidies, but at the very least, the subsidies, right? Because shutdowns don't really work. It was a demonstration of power. It's what it did in terms of dignity, what it meant in terms of looking for champions of change, the people who are courageous enough, right? And that's Chuck Schumer. That's good old Chuck. He's an edger, that motherfucker. Chuck Schumer edges, right? He takes us right to the brink of possibility and then just brings us all the way back. Right to the brink of courage and then brings us back. He's like, courage? Oh, what? No, me? Never. Never. And you want to know something? And it like, a couple of things could have happened, right? Democrats caved, sure. The GOP might have abolished the filibuster. Now, the filibuster needs to be abolished, but you want it abolished during a Democrat run. You don't want it abolished during a GOP run. Otherwise, there's no leverage, right? Trump wasn't making concessions. But the thing is, he just recently got booed at the NFL stadium in that game. He can't deal with being disliked. He's an egomaniac. We'll never know what could have happened coming out of the holidays because we were never given the chance to find out. Senate Democrats threw in the fucking towel on Sunday night. That's what happened. So the pain that ordinary Americans felt, and I want to be clear about something, right? You weren't seeing Americans running around saying, the Democrats are the reason I can't eat. The Democrats are the reason I can't sleep and I can't get paid. People were tightening their belts, looking at mutual aid. I watched endless news segments in states where people were most directly impacted, right? Even them niggas, wherever that state was, where the IRS is housed, I was like, I'm not exactly mad that y'all ain't work. But even then, you know, they're living paycheck to paycheck, most of them. So it's like, but that pain was for nothing. People have endurance when we understand the cause, when we can buy into the story, right? Many people across the party's base, right? The Democratic base, urged Democrats to continue the fight. So this person, right, and people like that, they fundamentally do not understand the point of the shutdown. And you want to know what the fucking joke is, right? This tax credit thing, it is a problem for Republicans as well, right? If Democrats had gotten the tax credits extended, right, that would have been solving a huge electoral problem for Republicans. And so both parties got to say that they won. But if Republicans allowed the tax credits to expire while we dug our heels in on the Democratic side, right, the Democrats would be able to beat them over the fucking head with that in every fucking midterm, on every news segment, everywhere. We got nothing from this because of 7 fucking senators and whatever the fuck John Fetterman is. That giant bald bitch. This was Chuck Schumer's compromise, right? When a plane is going the fuck down, we're not looking at the stewards, wondering why they didn't do what this is Chuck Schumer's fault. He either does not have control of his party, or he tacitly, implicitly, or explicitly rubber stamped this. It's just that fucking simple. So this just looks like Republicans got everything that they wanted for nothing. For nothing. That's it. But you know what? Maybe Hakeem has something to say about this, right? Maybe Hakeem's got some insights. Why don't we pull up? Because Hakeem was doing his little press junket. Okay, so this morning, why don't we fucking listen to what Hakeem's got to say about this? Let's pull it up.
Well, I don't have much to say about those individuals, and they're going to have to explain themselves to their constituents and to the American people. I certainly believe that Senate Democrats, the overwhelming majority of Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, have waged a valiant fight over the last 7 weeks, defeating the partisan Republican spending bill 14 or 15 different times, week after week after week, and continue to oppose this effort of passing legislation that does not address the Republican health care crisis by extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits. But the fight is getting ready to shift back to the House, where we're going to work hard, hold the Republicans accountable. All of these loudmouths on the House Republican conference side who's been saying for the last several weeks that we have to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Now is their chance. This week, they have to come back.
I cannot. Like, we're gonna hold them accountable. They can no longer hide. Nobody's hiding. Nobody's hiding. They're giants. Actually, their presence is felt in every facet of American life. If anyone is fucking hiding, it is the goddamn Democrats. Listen, I want to be really clear. We absolutely need a theory of change, but this, even though I am even more angry and disgusted than I've been in a long time, this is precisely why we need more of our folks in office. And I don't want to lead that shit. I'm not going to lead that shit, right? I might. We'll see, right? But the point is ignoring it and being on the sidelines is simply not acceptable. It's not acceptable to do that and then feel like we have a right to weigh in and be outraged, right? Outrage doesn't, feeding your ego doesn't feed your people. Outrage doesn't mean anything anymore. But you know what does? Fucking action, right? Like our knee-jerk impulse is to be outraged, right? And tomorrow I'm going to be talking about this piece that was fucking fascinating. It was sometime this week, but it came out in the New York Times. It was an opinion piece, and it was about how like women ruined the workplace, and it was obviously a woman who wrote it, and then it was changed to liberal feminism has ruined the workplace, and it's just incredible to me that this is happening in this moment. And I'll make a stronger case, but it's very simple, right? the people's response was outrage. And granted, like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to take that away. But there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with making the case for our ideas and our ideals. That's all Mamdani's campaign was. And somewhere along the line, we have lost the ability to do that, to feel like we ought to, right? We go straight to indignation and outrage. We go straight to virtue signaling and accusations rather than making the fucking case. There are solid people across this country who want what we want. There are people like you who want what we want everywhere. Everywhere. But I think the roadmap or the desire or the belief that it is our responsibility. Maybe that's not even do you want to know what? I'm talking responsibility. Do you want to know what we forget? The conditions are horrendous. I don't want to minimize that. But fighting back is fucking fun. I don't know if it's because I'm a boxer and we're all a bit deranged, but it's fucking fun. It gives you agency. You're not just sitting there shoveling shit into your mouth every day. It's caring about things enough to fight. That's dignity. That's self-determination. That's power. This whole thing, this whole scam is meant to teach us that that's not how that we should feel powerless, that we should feel fucking helpless. And there's something about outrage that is helpless, right? That's where it comes from, a sense of helplessness. Well, how could anybody possibly? When shit like this happens, right? And you're in the ring, do you want to know what you get to do? You get to throw a fucking punch back and have it connect with something. Why don't we run up Graham Plattner right now? Who's running for office? And you know that's my boy. Yeah, he's so hot. You know, he's that old school, like he's Hemingway hot. I can't explain it, but I feel like if you know, you know. But play my boy, right? Play my boy.
Good morning, everyone. Graham here. Well, it's not really good morning at all. It's gray, rainy, and dreary, but more importantly, it is a bleak morning for millions of American families, because last night, some Senate Democrats caved. They caved and they voted with Republicans. And now, up to 20 million Americans are going to watch their health care premiums double, triple, and in some cases quadruple. Now we are on a path to watch 15 million Americans possibly lose access to health care insurance in the first place. This happened because Chuck Schumer failed in his job yet again, because they do not understand that when we fight, we win. When we hold the line for working families, for working people, we win. But they don't get this. They see all of this as a game. These are just numbers on a sheet of paper, not people's lives. But I can tell you, down here in Eastern Maine, a doubling of healthcare premiums destroys families. That's not an exaggeration, it's not hyperbole, that is real, and it is going to happen now. We need to elect leaders that want to fight. We need to elect leaders that care about people, that care about the actual outcomes of policies. That is why I am asking all of you, call in today, call your senators, call your congresspeople, call your senators and tell them that Chuck Schumer can no longer be leader. Call your congressmen and tell them that they cannot vote for this when it comes to them on Wednesday. We need to fight back. But sadly, until we elect more Democrats that understand that fighting is what we need to do, we're going to find ourselves in this position over and over and over again.
This was a fuck up, majorly. I don't think that GOP comes out on top, right? There's something to the fact that even though he had threatened to, Donald Trump did not, in fact, end the filibuster. If we're heading towards something like this, the end of January, we might find ourselves in this seat again. Now we know what runway we have, right? All to say, this is a battle in a larger war. But those people cannot be our champions. And I'm going to keep it a buck. Mamdani's not our champion either. And I want to be clear, okay? When shit hits the fan, I will be in Mamdanistan so fast. I don't care if they make up new rules like everyone's got to have a Ramabob, right? I'll have a Ramabob. I don't care. You know what I mean? I'll be happy in Mamdanistan. It's just that it's not like, and for the record, I don't want to diminish it, diminish the win. Not at all, right? It's again, understanding the cultural power that win represents, and also the structural power that we have not yet built out. Every time, every video that you loved about Mamdani, every time that you're like, oh, he made me feel, that was him making an argument for our way of life, for our belief system on some level, right? Isn't it moving when that happens? So why aren't more of us doing it? That's the question. Why is outrage our first response instead of argument? When did we decide that that was beneath us to defend our positions, right? With simply like, that's not okay. You can't say that. No, make the fucking case. Make it better than they ever could. Just in case we forgot, I just want to remind you of exactly who we're running against, like who our enemy is, right? It seems like insurmountable sometimes, right? Evil. Because this is what it is. I've been very loath in the past to use that term because it was being overused. But I want to be very clear about this era that we're in. The Trump administration, what they allow, what they believe in, how they fight, right? They are evil. There's no doubt about it that this is just plain naked evil. But evil isn't smart. It's performative. It requires an audience, and we give them that, right? We give them that. We give them airspace, and then we act outraged. But that's what they want. When we actually stand on our business and make our case, we tend to win. But also we inspire, and also we sow seeds of doubt, seeds of possibility. I want more of us being a champion for our beliefs. That requires putting our neck out a little bit. I know that can feel scary, but what's scarier is losing ourselves, losing our sense of hope and possibility, losing our care, our sense of justice to this fucking shitheel. Let's pull up that Trump clip.
But it's so, President Xi was willing to do the rare earth thing, that's magnets. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't make a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, within 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, but we don't. Because of tariffs, I called. I said, listen, here's the story. You're going to play the magnet. I'm going to play the tariff on you. And for national security purposes, I raised the tariff by 100% over and above what they were paying, which was 55. So he was at 155%. Within 10 minutes, I got a call. We'd like to meet. And we settled it out. And we made a wonderful deal, great deal for our country.
I had an aneurysm. That's a word that Donald Trump would not be able to say. I had listening to that. That's our enemy. I just want to remind you, it's like, I'm not going out like this, right? Like, there's things that are happening that matter. Remember Kim Davis? Remember Kim Davis tried to do this whole thing, right? I'm not going to let these gays vote, even though whatever. Well, she tried to take that shit to the Supreme Court, and guess who owes gays $360,000? You raggedy bitch, right? Who still has a pompadour? Get it together. But that's fucking hilarious also. Like, Sorry, I had to throw in a little jab in there. This fight is so fucking far from over. But like, listen to, he thinks we don't know what magnets are. He thinks, and you want to know why? Because he didn't. He didn't know what it was. You know, they got money. They've been able to consolidate their power. That would end if we got in the fucking ring. All right? It would not end quietly. It would be loud and it would be a fight. But as it stands, right, whether or not we claim the Democratic Party is irrelevant. We're not even in the ring. They don't even care what the fuck we have to say about anything because we've marginalized ourselves so far from it. So, but I do see some things happening and shifting and changing, and I want to be really clear about that. I'm furious, but my jaw's not made of glass, and neither is yours, right? Regardless, this looked bad for the Trump administration. It's a blow for us. Don't get me wrong. Let me just, whew, these motherfuckers though, right? I will say this, and I know that they're stupid and dumb, but polls, right? Just from an objective piece, a data point, the Democrats are scoring better across national polls because of how they fought during the shutdown. I'm going to see what it looks like in a fucking week. I'll tell you that. I can't believe this shit. Okay. Listen, anger is righteous and it goes somewhere or it rots and it makes you bitter, useless. And I'm not going to allow some dried up husks and octogenarians, right? People who look like bacteria, niggas that are the walking embodiment of CTE, fuck ass bobs with bad roots and dried ends. That's not who we are. And that's not who we're not losing. This is a clarifying moment and it's a hurtful moment, but look, Trump's willingness to hurt people is plain and naked for everyone to see just to get his own needs met. What we have to make sure is that we're not willing to see people hurt just to feel righteous. That's it. We have to actually take a little bit more responsibility, not for what these entities have done, but for what we're going to do moving forward. I'm interested in that. I'm so interested in that. And what I've learned, and I've been in some, meetings and organizing, blah, blah, blahs, but people want to fight. People want to fight, and they're ready to fight, and they want to fight, right? And I'm reading this something right quick. 1 second. Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. I want to tell you this right fucking now. The establishment Dems are a fucking cancer on justice. Fuck Chuck Schumer. You need to fucking resign. Fuck John Fetterman, the walking embodiment of CTE, right? Nigga looks like the mascot for it, right? Fuck all of those senators with their fuck ass bobs, their dried fucking roots, their fried ends. Fuck all those old ass fucking senators that folded like lawn chairs, that look like fucking dehydrated foreskin, right? All dried fruit, no juice. This octogenarian generation of rotted leadership, this doesn't matter to them because they don't ever have to live with the consequences of it. But people like AOC, people like Graham Plattner, these are reps, people like Jasmine Crockett, they care. They understand, and they're not bought and paid for by the corporatocracy, which is honestly our main target here. In addition to, but the thing that we need to do is Chuck Schumer must resign, and we need to take action to make sure that that fucking happens every day. Post about it every day. Write about it. Fuck Chuck. Resign. You bitch. Skinny tie wearing bitch. I'm so tired of Chuck Schumer and his weaselly ways. And I'm fucking tired of Hakeem Jeffries. Put somebody else up. Show us that you actually want to win. Get the fuck out of the way. Go up to pasture like Nancy Pelosi. I don't ever want to see that old bird kneel at an HBCU wearing kente cloth. What the fuck is that? What was that? Grow your hair out, bitch. I'm tired. Or cut it off. It's dignified. Time for you to take the blazer off and wear a cardigan. We're tired. Go do some social work. Go grow something in a garden, write a book, and then, peddle it to your corporate fucking overlords. Leave us alone. You are not built for the fight against fascism. You aren't built for it. Your interests are too tied up with it. So fuck off. We'll take it from here. Fuck Chuck. You need to resign. Okay. That's where, you know what? That's all I got to say today. I'm going to tell you something. There's a generational divide here that cannot be overlooked. There's two kinds of old folks. There's OGs, right? There's OGs, those elders, the people who mentor, who know how to lead, right? Who know how to lead from the back, and also who know when it's time to let younger people step in. And then there's the fucking gerontocracy that doesn't have to live in the world and in the conditions that they create for us, right? You got Donald Trump talking about how he knows he's not going to heaven. These people know what they are. And people like Chuck Schumer get to hide behind the veneer of democracy and justice simply because they don't represent the forward face of fascism. You might not be the tip, but you are part of the rot that we can't see. You are part of the corporatocracy that is the stage upon which fascism stands on. And you're fucking tired. You're old and you're tired. Your talking points are shit. Get the fuck out of here. There's a massive divide in the Democratic Party, right? Dick Durbin, before we go, Dick Durbin, he's the Democrats who folded, he's 80, right? Gene Shaheen, the fuck-ass Bob, 78. Angus King of Maine, 81. Jackie Rosen of Nevada was 68, right? Tim Kaine and Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire are 67 years old, right? By the time they need to vote again, they're going to be 70. The youngest one, Catherine Cortez Masto, 61. These are not the people that are going to be fighting for us. I don't even know what do they fight for? I know they don't wash their legs. I can tell you that. Not with them arthritic joints. You don't. You already weren't in the culture. You definitely aren't now. So you're walking around with ashy skin. You can spontaneously combust at any fucking moment. You're so dry. Get the fuck out of the way. Chuck Schumer's what, 77 or some shit? Probably older. And it's not just him, right? Oh, and who are Chuck Schumer's top three midterm recruits? Janet Mills, 77, right? That's in Maine. Sherrod Brown, 73 in Ohio. Roy Cooper, 68 in North Carolina. Each are going to be in their 80s by the end of a second term. Now, the question then comes, well, are there young people trying to run? Younger people? No, because we attack them. They're not incentivized to. Why the fuck would anybody do it if we fucking hate the Democrats, right? But when Mamdani runs, we get excited. What if we actually took some responsibility for it? And by the way, you don't have to. There are entities that already do that. Give money to the fucking Working Families Party, right? Tap in. Part of the issue is morale, but if we keep looking for them and to them to give that to us, we are already done. AOC and Mamdani had to run as Democrats to win. Then we're like, well, we want more of them in the party, right? The party sucks. Which one is it that matters more to us? Changing the party and putting our belief system on front stage, center stage, in the limelight, or critiquing the Democratic establishment from the fucking sidelines. It really comes down to what's more important to us: winning, right? Or being on a fucking soapbox for why we didn't win. There is an age issue. We are in a battle for our future. And whose hands, right, are throwing those first punches? Well, that matters. They're not our front line. They're our fucking last one. That's a problem. Because we're better than they are, right? But running takes a lot. And I personally don't know as much. You know, I'm not even from this place. But I know the people who are good at it. And I know why. And I know people who learned out of nothing. Right, and a lot of those people were frontline organizers that I had the sometimes immense pleasure. I mean, otherwise I couldn't stand them. Right, of protesting with, of mobilizing with, organizing with. But I don't really care if I like you or not if the work is good. There is an age problem. There's a major age problem, and you want to know something? To date, right, and I think, for the record, Gen X is gangster as fuck, so I want to include them in this because I feel like no one even gets data on them niggas. Millennials are, to date, the only population in recorded history that has not gone more conservative as we've aged. Right? I think some of it is because we're broke, certainly, but another part is we just saw a lot economy bottoming out again and again. It was less about the accumulation of wealth and the desire to do so, and more about the lie and the stories that we were told about each other and about this world and about what actually fucking matters. I'll end with this, right? I want to just remind you again and again and again, I'm going to drill this point home. For all their wealth, for all the wealth, the concentration of wealth, right, in the hands of a few, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, this entire administration, right? Teal, all of them. They don't fucking make anything. They take everything, but they don't make art. The things that we know make life worth living, trees, fucking painting, music, laughter, artistic expression, an ecosystem, right? Like just knowing that we live in actual fucking paradise if we would just stop destroying it, knowing that the things that make life worth living for are the very things that they don't even comprehend. They don't even fucking get. For all that, Elon Musk is online every second of the day. Donald Trump is on every second of the day. They don't ever talk about what the fuck they like. They don't talk about a book that they've read or an author that they value or a painting that moved them. They don't talk about anything that we know gives our life purpose and meaning. And for all their accumulation of power on the right, for all the studio execs, or whatever, they don't fucking make any goddamn thing. They take from those of us that do. Doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about how easily we could win this if we got our shit together? That's what gives me hope. Never underestimate the things in your head and the thoughts that live there and the care in your heart. It's the very thing the most powerful people on the planet, these evil people, simply do not have, and it's why they want to destroy us. It's that simple. It's resentment. Empathy. You hear Elon Musk talking about empathy, right? Charlie Kirk says empathy is the worst thing. Planet's a weakness. Elon Musk touts the same thing. Empathy is part of our evolution. Empathy was how we information shared. Hey, I don't want to see you get hurt like I did, so don't go down to that river because your ass are going to get eaten by a gigantic lion. Right? Empathy is evolution. Empathy is rational thought. Empathy is a sign of higher life. This entire thing that's happening to us right now is because the smallest handful of the smallest handful of the smallest handful of people have decided to make the life that they want our world and our life. And I'm sorry, but I'm not here for fucking Rolexes and fucking cargo pants. Fuck you. No thanks. Your skin is dry and you're pasty. You look gross. Your deeds are showing. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. It's that simple. Right? And there's no wrong way to do it now. Unless, for whatever reason, you still think that the fight is with each other. Then we've already lost. And I don't think we have. I think it's the furthest thing from. I think this is a clarifying moment, and clarification is fucking hard. It's hard. But cool shit, our shit, it's coming. We have fought under conditions like this before and have somehow won. You want to know why? Because we fought. That's all. Queer is back in, baby. It's back in, baby. We're edgy again. Pull out the Doc Martens. Get them on. Strap them up. Lotion your skin. Where's my bush queers at? Come on with your heirloom seeds, you weirdos. We're back. We're so back. Woke is back, baby. It's back. Nobody knew woke was keeping the motherfucking planes in the sky. Now we know. Anyway, all right. I got a weird stomach bug. Everyone feel bad for me. I lasted this amount of time without needing to. It turns out, like, actually, yapping y'all made me feel better, but also anger, rage is fantastic. Outrage is more useless when it's the only muscle that we have. That's not okay. All right. Oh, I'm glad you feel that way. We have so much life in front of us, and the only people standing in our way are the ones who don't. Interpret life in all the ways that make sense, but I want to be clear. When I say life, I mean life, fullness. Fuck those people who are just angry that they're old and dying. And they're not good. And so they want to make us all not good in the process. There's another argument, conversation to be had about how we actually should, if we treated people who are older better, I don't think they'd all go so evil. But the other part is your brain just shrinks as you age. And if you don't work really hard, and I want to remind you of that, there's a person that I don't like. And it's like, this one's a capital L. My default is I don't really like, unless I'm working and I'm on and I have to do the thing, right? But, I hang back on myself in a lot of rooms, and I can be incredibly off-putting when I'm, not on. I imagine I'm incredibly off-putting. I don't know. I think that's a funny sentence. But there's somebody I don't like, and she used to be smart. She's a liberal Zionist, which is a contradiction. That means that you just fucking support apartheid and use the notion of safety to justify it, right? The unique experience that you have, which and there's no unique fucking suffering. But people were just like, I don't get it because she's so smart. I said, no, she used to be. That was like 8 years ago. You have to work really, really hard to keep your worldview wide. And that's especially true as we age. Just because you were smart 3 years ago doesn't mean you're fucking smart today. You have to stay smart. You have to work really, really hard. You have to listen to music. All these niggas don't listen to new music. I had to start when I realized that men just didn't listen to new music. And I was like, oh, and they also just stopped reading. And that's a problem. Men don't read fiction. right? They tend to read philosophy, but then you find out when you hear what they think philosophy is, because I'm in the manosphere, I'm like, oh, this is sad. We're all getting collectively stupider, is what I'm saying. And it doesn't have to be that way. Well, not us. No one can stay stupid listening to my fucking yap. I mean, I exhaust myself half the goddamn time, but I have to work really, really hard. I found out my concentration is a bit shot. My focus is a bit shot. How could it not be with the tech that we have? But this is the thing, this brain capacity, right? That you have, this heart capacity that you have, that's the exact thing that they want to destroy. And that's the thing that they don't have. And I don't know if they ever did. So fuck them. Giant bald bitch. Shut up, Hakeem. All of them. Okay, no. Shh. Future. Focus. Anyway, I love you all very much. I appreciate you. Thank you for being in rage with me. This has not dimmed my sense of possibility, not a bit. But it's made abundantly clear who the source of my ire is and who is not coming with us in this fucking fight. They're not hot anyway. Fuck them. They're not hot. They're not hot. Okay. I love you all very much. Thank you for listening to another episode of Dark Woke, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Love you!